did a lot of bad things, and never did I give in, just 'cause the thought of
Hey y'all, welcome back, and welcome if you are new. My name is Sam and welcome to my channel. I have some easy and delicious weeknight meal ideas for you this week, so let's just get right into the video. Hey guys, this week we're starting off with crock-pot easy spaghetti and meatballs. They are absolutely delicious. So what I've got here is I've got the leftover meatballs that I did not use last week, so we're going to use those up. I've got some spaghetti noodles here. You can use any kind of pasta that you like. I've also got some olive oil, and I've got some this is pasta sauce. I made this not too long ago, and I'm just going to use some of this, but you can use whatever you have on hand. It will work just fine. I've got some water, some onion, bell pepper, garlic. Seasonings, I've got salt and pepper. I've got some of this nature seasoning. I've got a little bit of this umami seasoning. This is going to add that like mushroom flavor in the background. I've also got some of this herb blend, and I've got some parsley and some thyme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of oil to a skillet, and I'm going to cook my onions and my peppers until they're tender. Add a little bit of garlic, cook that up, and then we were going to add all of this into the crock pot. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cooked up, and then I will show you what I'm doing next. Alright, so what I did was I just went and put a little bit of oil in my pan over medium heat, and then cooked my onions and pepper until they were tender. Added some salt and pepper and my garlic, and then cooked that down for about a minute, and then I just set it to the side. While that was setting over to the side, I just sprayed my crock pot here with a little bit of oil spray. I did my pasta sauce to the bottom. You can use any brand that you like. That will work just fine. And then I just added the meatballs in there, and then just spread over the onion mixture. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add in my water, and this is going to help the pasta cook. Give that a little bit of a stir, get everything kind of mixed in there. Okay, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to add my spices, my pasta, and a little bit of olive oil, and just to help the pasta not stick together when it's cooking in the crock pot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will show you what it looks like before we turn this on. Alright, so I went ahead and added all of my spices into my crock pot, along with a little bit of olive oil and my pasta. Now you want to make sure that your pasta is fully submerged in your liquid, so that way it cooks evenly. Now you want to come in here every once in a while and kind of give it a stir, so that way the pasta doesn't stick together. So we're just going to put the lid on, and I've already got this set to low, so we're going to let this cook on low for about 3 to 4 hours, depending on your pasta and the temperature of the crock pot, you know, the temperature that it cooks at. All crock pots and slow cookers cook at different temperatures. So just make sure to come in and stir this every once in a while to make sure the pasta doesn't stick together, and as soon as the pasta is done and tender, you're good to go. So I'm gonna let it do its thing. I've got some errands to run, and yeah, I'll see you back when this is done. Okay, so I just went ahead and made some poor man's garlic bread, and it is just some sliced bread with some butter and garlic powder, onion powder, a little bit of parsley and paprika. I just baked it at 350 until it was kind of golden brown, so that's good to go. And I've got my crock pot spaghetti here. I've got it on warm. I just Stirred everything up every once in a while, made sure everything was cooked completely through. Then at the end of the cooking time, I just added some mozzarella and a little bit of Parmesan cheese to that, put the lid on, let it melt, and that is good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and make my plate. Okay guys, here is my plate. I just got some of the crock-pot spaghetti here and 2 of the poor man's garlic bread, and yeah, that's what we're having for dinner tonight. Tonight I'm making one of my daughter's favorite meals, and that is creamy mushroom chicken. It's super easy. I've got 2 chicken breasts here in my crock pot. I just sprayed it with some oil spray. For my seasonings, I'm going to use this Greek seasoning, some Lowry seasoning salt, some of this nature seasoning, because it's got, all of these have a little bit of spices that I use already, so just to make it easier on myself, I'm just going to use these 3. I've got some pepper, a little bit of milk, a can of cream of mushroom soup, a can of cream of mushroom with roasted garlic. I'm going to use what's left in my little garlic jar here. It's not much. I'm just going to add that in there just to use that up. And I need to use up my cream cheese, so I'm going to add that in there and just kind of mix it around, make sure everything is combined. Put the cream cheese on top, and then I will show you what it looks like when I get it all combined in the crock pot. Alright, so I've got all of that in there. I just added everything in there, kind of mixed it around, added the seasonings, mixed it around again, and then I just kind of broke up the cream cheese and just sprinkled it right over top. So I'm going to put this lid on, and I've already got it set to high. I'm going to let this cook for about 2 to 3 hours. In the meantime, when this gets closer to being done, I'll make some rice to go along with it, and then I will let my daughter pick out what kind of vegetables she wants today. So yeah, I'll show you what this looks like when it gets done. Alright, here is everything done. I've just got some rice here. It's just cooked in the Instant Pot with some chicken broth. And then I've got some broccoli and cheese here. And then in here I've got my creamy mushroom chicken. You can certainly add more chicken to this if you have a bigger family, but I love the sauce, so this is perfect for us. So I'm going to go ahead and make my plate, and then I will show you what it looks like. Okay guys, here is my plate. I've just got some rice on the bottom here with some of the mushroom chicken. I put a little bit of extra gravy on top because I love the sauce. And I've just got my broccoli and cheese here. So yeah, that's what we're going to have for dinner tonight. Alright y'all, today is chili day, so I'm going to be making my southern style chili and sweet baking cornbread. They are absolutely delicious, perfect for any cold day. So I've got this chili recipe up on my blog, so you can just click the link in the description box below and it'll take you right there. And you can just look up any other recipe that you like. I've got tons and tons of recipes on there. So what I've got for ingredients today is I've got some green chilies, a can of diced tomatoes, a can of crushed tomatoes, garlic, salt and pepper. I've got a can of black beans that I'm going to drain and rinse. I've got some chili oil. Now this is optional. If you don't want it spicy, you can certainly leave this out. I've got a can of kidney beans. You can use any kind of mixture of beans that you like in your chili, or you can leave them out if you don't like beans in your chili. So I've got some seasonings here. I've got some chili powder, some chili seasoning, paprika, garlic, onion, some red pepper flakes, cayenne pepper. I've got a little bit of sugar. I've got an onion here, a can of tomato paste, and of course your meat. You can do ground beef, you can do chicken, you can do turkey, whatever you like or prefer, you can use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of oil to a pot on the stove, and I'm going to go ahead and brown up my onions and my ground beef and get that going, and then we will add everything else in. So I'm gonna get you guys set up and we'll get this started. Alright, so my ground beef and my onions have cooked through. I'm going to go ahead and add in my seasonings right in there, as well as some garlic. You can use as much garlic as you want. This really depends on your taste preference. So I'm going to add that in there and kind of let that toast up and get fragrant. Okay, that is nice and toasty, and those spices smell absolutely delicious. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my chili oil. Like I said, you don't have to use this. It's pretty spicy. You can add just a little bit, or you can leave it out. I love the flavor of this chili oil, so I like to add it in there. Gives it a nice flavor. Now I'm going to go ahead and add in my tomatoes. I'm going to turn my heat down to about medium-low. And I'm going to add in my diced tomatoes. Give that a nice little stir, make sure it's all incorporated. Now I'm going to add in my can of green chilies. You can do the mild, or you can do the spicy, whatever kind you prefer. Put that in there. I think this is one of the chili recipes that I make more often. It's just because it's easier to just throw everything in there together. Chili is a super easy recipe to make during the colder months. It's just so easy to just throw it all in the pot and cook it up. And you can serve it however you want. Now I'm adding in my whole can of my tomato paste. And this is going to help thicken this up, and it's going to add such a rich flavor. So we're going to get that all mixed in there, so there's no clumps of tomato paste. Now this recipe is a little on the thicker side, so if you like thick chili, this is a really good recipe for you. Plus it's got a ton of delicious flavors in there. And you can go easy on the more spicy things like the red pepper flakes and the cayenne pepper and the chili oil. You can go a little bit more easy on that to build up your tolerance to heat. So I've got that in there, and I'm going to add some pepper. And some salt. Okay, get that all mixed in there. I'm going to turn my heat down to low since it's starting to bubble. Now this is going to cook on low for about an hour to 2 hours. Now this depends on how thick you like your chili. You can cook this for 15 to 20 minutes if you want. I like to cook mine a little bit longer because I like the flavors to be a little bit more developed. And if you find that your chili gets a little bit too thick for you, you can add some beef broth in here and kind of thin it back down, and it is absolutely delicious. So I'm going to let this come back up to boil and put the lid on, and I'm going to let this cook for about an hour to 2 hours. It depends. And in the meantime, we'll make our cornbread. Alright guys, the chili's been cooking for about 30 minutes. It's almost time to add the beans. But in the meantime, we're going to make the cornbread. So what I've got going on here is I've got some cornmeal, flour, baking powder, some baking soda, a little bit of salt, some buttermilk, a couple of eggs, some honey. Now you can sweeten this to your desired sweetness. That's up to you. I've got some bacon that I cooked up, and I've got the bacon grease. Instead of using the oil like avocado oil or anything like that, I'm going to use the reserved bacon grease. I left a little bit in the pan just to coat the pan, so when I put the cornbread in there, it gets that nice char on the bottom and it gets nice and crispy. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to mix this up, make sure it's all well combined, and then I'm just going to add everything else. I'm going to add in my oil last because it's still a little bit warm and I don't want to cook my eggs. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll move on and get this going in the oven. Alright, so I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. I've got my cast iron skillet here that I cooked the bacon in. I left some of the grease in there, and I've just got it getting hot on medium heat. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because it's already up to temperature. And the reason why I do that is so that the bottom of the crust gets nice and crisp and golden brown. You certainly don't have to do this, but it's just what I like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my cornbread mixture. Get that all in there as best as I can without getting it all over the place, but I always make a mess cooking. Okay, that's about as good as it's going to get. So now I'm just going to kind of spread this around and let it kind of sit there and get crispy for just about a minute or so. And then we're going to put this in the oven. And this is going to cook for about 25 minutes or so, just until the inside is cooked through and it's nice and golden brown. And while that's going, I'm going to add the beans to my chili and the sugar, give that a little mix, and then this should be all done right about the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you everything when it's done. Okay guys, so I've added the beans and the sugar, mixed it up. Now this has got about 20 more minutes to cook. I just put my cornbread in the oven, so it's got a few more minutes to cook. I'm just going to let this sit here and hang out and thicken up a little bit more. Like I said, you can cook this however long that you prefer. I like mine a little bit on the thicker side, but I'm going to go ahead and let this finish up cooking, and then I will meet you back here and we'll make our plate. Alright, the cornbread is done. I just took it out of the oven. I'm going to let that sit and cool off so that way I can slice it, and it makes the perfect slices. And don't mind the stove, you guys. Cooking bacon is a nightmare. The chili is done, and it's nice and thick, and it smells absolutely delicious. This I just cut off the heat, so I'm going to let this sit and cool down, and then we will be ready to make our plates. Okay guys, here is my bowl of chili. I just topped it with some cheese and a little bit of sour cream. I might add a little bit of hot sauce to that. And here is my sweet bacon cornbread. So that's what we're having for dinner tonight. Today's dinner is going to be so simple and easy. It's going to be a autumn sausage and vegetable sheet pan dinner. It's so easy, and it's absolutely delicious. So what I've got going on here is, back here I've got some Brussels sprouts that I just cut in half, an onion that I diced up, about 1/2-inch pieces, some broccoli, some peppers that I needed to use up. I've got some maple syrup, an orange, a regular white potato, a couple of sweet potatoes, some sausage. You can do any kind of sausage that you like or is your favorite. For seasonings, I've got some salt and pepper, some olive oil, Cavenders. I've got some parsley, some garlic powder and onion powder, and some poultry seasoning. Now the reason why I'm using poultry seasoning is because it's got all the spices and herbs in it that I already use, so this is just easier, so I'm going to use that. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to peel and cut up my potatoes, my sausage. I'm going to cut my orange in half for my sauce, and then I will meet you back here and we'll put all this on the sheet pan. Alright, so I've got all of my vegetables on here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of olive oil. Now I've already added some salt and pepper to this, and now I'm going to add some of my seasonings. You can add however much you want. So I got my Cavenders, my garlic powder, some onion powder, a little bit of parsley, and some poultry seasoning. Now I'm going to go a little light on the poultry seasoning because it's a little bit salty, and that's because I've already added my salt and pepper. So a little bit goes a long way with poultry seasoning. So I've got that on there. All I'm going to do now is kind of mix this all together, make sure it's well combined, and this is going to go in the oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, just until it's lightly golden brown, and then we will add in our sausage and top it with our dressing. Alright, so my vegetables have been cooking just a few minutes. I went ahead and cut up my sausage just about 1-inch pieces, cut them in half and then cut them in 1-inch pieces. And for the sauce, you're going to need the juice of 1 orange, a little bit of maple syrup, some salt and pepper, and some olive oil. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that up, and then I will show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've got my sausages just sitting here. Went ahead and mixed up my sauce. It's about 1/4 cup of orange juice, 2 to 3 tablespoons of maple syrup, some salt and pepper, and about 1/4 cup of olive oil, and just mix that together until it's well combined. I'm going to let this sit and hang out while my vegetables finish up cooking, and then we will add the sausage, the sauce, and then put that back in the oven. Alright, this has been cooking for about 20 minutes, or 25 minutes, excuse me, and I've just added my sausage. I gave my little sauce here a little whisk, and I'm just going to add this all over the top. It's going to give it nice flavor. And I'm just going to mix this up, and this is going to go back in the oven for another 20 to 25 minutes, or until the vegetables are all tender and cooked through and the sausage is cooked through. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright guys, here is my plate. I've got the sheet pan dinner here, and I've got just a little homemade roll here. And yeah, that's what we're having for dinner tonight, and y'all stay tuned for next week's What's for Dinner meal plan. Okay, so I was editing this video and completely forgot to do next week's meal plan. So this is what we're going to have for this coming up week. Now this is Thanksgiving week. I've got a lot of prep to do, so as you can see here, I've got a small Thanksgiving dinner planned for just me and my daughter, but I'll explain in a minute. Monday we're going to have chicken sandwiches. I was about to say sliders, but we're going to have chicken sandwiches with french fries. Tuesday we're going to have corn chowder with some rolls. I pre-made some rolls the other day, and I just put some of the dough in the freezer, and I can just pull them out whenever and let them rise and then pop them in the oven, and they will cook up beautifully. Let's see, Wednesday we're going to have the Pioneer Woman's butter chicken, some naan, and some rice. Now on Thanksgiving Day, it's just going to be me and my daughter for Thanksgiving. My husband is out of town, so we will be having a bigger Thanksgiving Day dinner when he gets home. But for Thursday, we're just going to have some ham, this is all small portions. I'm going to have a little ham, a little bit of cornbread dressing, some gravy, some deviled eggs, and I can't decide between mac and cheese or green beans, so I just put them both up there, and when we get closer to Thursday, I'll let my daughter pick which one she wants. And then I'm just going to make a pumpkin roll cake for dessert. And then when my husband gets home, we will have a bigger Thanksgiving Day dinner with all of the family. So yeah, that is this week's meal plan. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.